full power out of the corner. Oh, we got a hint of rotation. It really just tucked the nose in and powered the rear axle. This is what I'm talking about. Hyundai stuff, awesome. They're chassis engineers, they're drivetrain engineers. I want to meet them. I love them. Hello and welcome back to another Kyle Connor YouTube channel video. This is where I get to share my thoughts and opinions with cars to you. However, if you're interested in full reviews, take a look at one of the sites I run called Out of Spec Reviews, where my colleague Jordan has done a full review on this Genesis G80 all-wheel drive. In this video, we're going to take it for a drive up one of the best canyon roads, talk about what the Genesis G80 is, and of course, I'm going to show you a little bit around, but if you're curious about all of the stuff like trunk space, which is quite large, take a look, of course, at Out of Spec Reviews for all of that. First thing I want to mention is this car's main competitors. Before we even jump inside, you're talking Lexus ES, Mercedes E-Class, BMW 5 Series. It's sort of an upmarket car, but the price is the best part here. And I'm going to tell you the price up front because it's truly staggering. Look at how gorgeous all of these lighting details are here. These little lights here on the side are actually the turn signals as well. So watch what happens when you hit lock. You can see all of this lights up. Really nice, very detailed on the front grille. This is an impressive, imposing looking car. I first got in this, I'm like, oh, this has to be $70,000, $75,000. In fact, that's not true. This particular one right here is $56,700 and change, something like that. It has a 4-cylinder engine. I believe it's 2-liter, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one. It is not the 3.3 V6 that everyone drives. This is nice because it's all-wheel drive on the 4-cylinder engine. We're started, we're confirmed. We're on the home screen. You can control the screens with all of this. Everything feels very tactile, very premium. I love this shifter. This is sort of a glass feeling on the top with a really nice colored P, this knurled aluminum on the side. Everything in here, this open pore wood, feels absolutely incredible except for this. This is like they put the cheapest material right here in the steering wheel. It's like plastic, and you have nice leather on the outside. That's just a blatant oversight, I think. But again, how much can I complain for 56, is it? Hold on, let me just make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah, 56,995. It does have one option aside from the paint color, which is $4,600 for the advanced package. 100% have to get that purely for the Lexicon sound system. This is a 22 speaker sound system. It has so much power, so much clarity in the drive. I mean, this is really a rolling sound system on wheels. It's very impressive, very cool. I like the design here with this big screen. This one has the base gauges with the speedometer on the left and then the digital tach and center instrument display on the right. I think that's kind of cool. So what do you say we get over to the good parts of the road here, and then we'll start driving it up the hill. Normally you and I drive down the hill on these videos, but I think we should drive up the hill this time. And I think I'll go with a little air-conditioned seat for the drive. Well, we are now on one of my favorite roads. So let's go drive mode into sport. Let's turn right over here. Traction control disabled, and we'll hold, and stability control disabled. And the reason I disable those is I really want to get a good feeling of the chassis. Now, interestingly, I have two modes here. I have well, obviously I have Comfort, Sport, Eco, and Custom. What I've done with Custom is I've left everything sporty except the steering, because the steering to me feels a little overly heavy. So what I'm gonna do is let's just go into custom mode. There we go. And the reason I like this customizing option is with the all-wheel drive system, there's 3 different modes of all-wheel drive. There's Eco, which will also allow for coasting. It will decouple the engine from the transmission. You have just a normal balanced all-wheel drive system, and then you have one tuned for dynamic driving, they claim. So a couple pulls on the left-hand paddle. I have yet to drive this car dynamically, and it's quite large. Interesting thing right off the bat is the steering. Oh wait, we already have the little beepers going. Let's turn that off. When you brush a line or get close, every Hyundai Kia product just beeps at you the whole time. Well, instantly what I was going to say is the steering ratio is very quick, and to me that is not necessarily a premium feeling. I like a direct steering wheel, like this is good. It's good on a back road. But in the city, especially on tight parking lots, it's almost a little bit premium to put more steering lock in. You know, like a Rolls Royce, you put in a lot of lock to get it to move. But then they have rear steering, which makes it feel a little bit more natural. This just feels like it's compensating for being a long car by having a quick steering rack. Oh, thanks to that dude for pulling off. Let's ride the torque curve up. A little surgy under power there, aren't we? Upshifts at red line. Very surgy under power. What I mean by that is I have a constant throttle application, wide open throttle, of course. And it's just going whoa, 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 whoa. So I have to say, it could be an altitude thing. I made sure I filled this car up with premium fuel. In Colorado, we only get 91, but it almost gets the same feeling that it's running on like regular fuel, or we're just like at altitude and it's having trouble. It's nothing I've noticed in daily driving or highway driving, but under wide open acceleration, especially out of the mid-range, coming out of a corner like this. That honestly felt pretty good. Who knows? Could be just getting adjusted to the altitude. I don't know where this car was before, but I had to point out that it was a little surgy. We'll move on from that. This is not a performance car, so why are we driving it on a back road? Well, it's interesting for you guys to go for drives on back roads. It's a little bit more different scenery. I get to drive in a more dynamic environment. But I also really like to see how the cars are set up. It gives you a really good impression when you start pushing the car as to the designed goals of the vehicle. Is this designed truly as just a luxurious way to travel around? Or was there a compromise somewhere and they said, hey, we want this to handle pretty well as well? Most Hyundai Kia products I've driven up here handle way better than they deserve to. I mean, especially the SUVs. They're the most impressive to me. This is big and it is heavy. You can feel it's soft. You can feel the weight transfer. I believe we have the standard suspension in this car. You can get an upgraded active damper unit. I don't believe this car has that. And it's as expected. The interesting thing was when I first got in this car, I started to like think of everything as a $75,000 car, and I started to pick apart this thing on the wheel, and I was like, you know, this engine's a little bit not quite really a premium engine. You know, when you start spending money on a luxury sedan, E-Class money, 5 Series money, you know, you can get 4 cylinders in those, but they're a little bit nicer and less agricultural than this 4-cylinder. I will say this is the best 4-cylinder I've driven from the Hyundai Motor Corporation so far. I've only actually ever sampled the 1.6 4-cylinder from them, and this to me is a whole step above in smoothness and refinement. This car also has active sound design, which cancels out some unwanted frequencies and brings new sounds in. I don't like that. I've set it to a very low and subdued setting because I still want to get a little bit of that impression. And so when I was driving this car, I was thinking $75,000. Well, you know, you got some weird materials around, but everything looks really nice, but when you start touching stuff, is it worthy of that cost? And then I pulled out the glove box and looked at the window sticker, and it was $56,900. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. We have an Infiniti Q50 sitting in the driveway. Signature edition. It's the nicest one. Same exact price as this car. I kid you not. And I was just like, wow. And for those people who, oh, look at that. So nice. Holy crap. This is the road, folks. For those people who know, you know, Infinitis, you know I'm not really a big fan. I think they're kind of like old school and they need to find a clear direction. And just the fact that this costs the same as that Infiniti does just shocked me unbelievably. Well, no question about the performance of this engine. If you're thinking, oh, maybe I should get the 6-cylinder for speed and power and maneuverability, do not do that. The 4-cylinder is effective at moving this car way more than adequately. It's very good at the power stuff. What it's not good at is the auditory experience and the overall feel of the way the engine comes on power. But if you cruise around town, it's smooth around town, stays in the background, and I think 90% of these you're fine with the 4-cylinder. The 6-cylinders really, if you appreciate a sweet sounding engine and you want something maybe even more powerful, but I think this is pretty quick. Should we try the brakes? Let's try the brakes. Oh, great braking performance. Really good. That's of course down to tire. So when you have a really good tire on your car, you can utilize more of that brake power. The seatbelt yanked back on me as hard as it could, held me in place, and have to say that was great. Good pedal feel, felt the ABS through the pedal. That's awesome. So this comes back to what I'm saying. Genesis, Hyundai, Kia vehicles, now Ioniq vehicles, all drive really well, and they're so underrated from their legacy perception in the mass market. That was a weird shift. I pulled an upshift. I didn't want it to downshift again there. I wanted to ride the mid-range, but when I hit the kickdown switch, I didn't lift off the kickdown switch, but it upshifted me, or I should say downshifted me. It's capable. This thing maneuvers quite well. So do you need any more power than this? Absolutely not. Do you need any more driving engagement? Well, I think it lacks some of the solidity feeling of a 5 Series or an E-Class, but I also think it feels lighter on its feet. While it's not a light car and it does roll in the corners, the steering being so quick does give it an agile character, and I quite like it. I don't know. I personally, it doesn't do it for me because I'm such a car snob. I would want not even just the BMW badge. I don't care about the car's image. I just like the way things feel in BMWs or Mercedes. Little things like the window switches are weighted. I mean, this is nice, but this is different. This is in luxury, like someone described luxury to Hyundai, and then they built this car, and everything on paper is really good, and it truly is. It's an impressive car. When I see these on the road, double takes every time. They carry a lot of presence. But something about just like the Germans building, you know, a particular part for the last 50 years and refining it over time, there's a sense of quality and craftsmanship that you just can't replicate in this short period of time. The little 4 cylinders working. Great chassis dynamics, though. It's soft, but it maneuvers, it handles. Very soft. But what else do you want? I mean, no one's going to drive one like this down a back road, but you can, and it handles quite well. You know, being the mid-size sedan, this needs to be somewhat agile. They have the G90, which is longer, and the G70, which really needs to be sportier than this. Oh, that felt cool coming over the hill. Lost my stomach a little bit. That was neat. Yeah, very impressed here with this car overall. I think for the price, that seals the deal. I mean, you know, if I was talking, we just had a 5 Series, I think it was like 80 grand. We had an E-Class, I think it was like 90 grand. And this is 56. And let me tell you, that difference in cost, that certainly those cars had things that were better about them, but it's not justifiable in that difference in cost. This is hopefully going to sell unbelievably well because it deserves to. This car is just mind-blowingly good, but I still feel like you have to make excuses. You have to say, well, it's a Genesis, which has got Hyundai, and it's like the nicer version, and you know, the quality's gotten better, and trust me, it's nice. If you drive an E-Class, you just be like, yeah, I have an E-Class. And I think that public perception still plays a role into a lot of people's buying decisions. Oh, the seatbelt just freaked out and yanked me there because I guess we got too much G. Full power out of the corner. Oh, we got a hint of rotation. It really just tucked the nose in and powered the rear axle. This is what I'm talking about. Hyundai stuff, awesome. They're chassis engineers, they're drivetrain engineers. I want to meet them. I love them. This is so much better than it needs to be up here. The harder you drive it, honestly, the better it gets. That was a downshift into first. Transmission's really good. And that is my thoughts on the Genesis. I think it comes down to this. If you don't have all the money in the world, or you're frugal with your money, you care about where your money goes, you cannot go wrong with one of these. But if you truly appreciate quality, tactile feedback, public appearance, honestly, I think this car is the best steering out of the bunch, to be honest. I think it's better than 5 Series and E-Class for performance driving. I still think those companies took the correct compromise in the city because this is too quick. See that? Little inputs make this thing really move around. And it just feels a little bit less expensive. It's definitely a step down, but the price is like 4 steps down. So, man, I am just blown away with this Genesis. I really want to drive one with the V6 because I think that would solve a lot of the problems of the quality feeling I'm getting at. But of course, then that would be more expensive. And that is, that's the Genesis. Crazy. You should buy one. If you live in Florida, you cruise around on flat, smooth roads all day long. You don't need, you know, to like show off, even though this probably looks better than the E-Class and 5 Series, no question there. Then this is definitely the car for you. Thanks for watching another Kyle Connor YouTube video. I'm just sort of speechless here. This is the best value new car I think I've driven in a while. Luxury new car. And this isn't even like pretending to be luxurious. It is luxurious. But make sure you spec one with massaging seats because this one doesn't have it. And it really needs it. Turning radius is okay. But it just feels like it needs rear steer. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. And this is where we normally start our videos.